YouTube, it's Erin, and I am the Handbag Housewife, and I'm back again with another video. Today's video is going to be the 5 luxury bags that I would never buy again. I have a hair in front of my face. So these are all bags that I have bought, and some of them I have bought more than one time, and I have resolved that I will never, ever buy one of these again. At least I'm pretty sure I won't. But I do have pictures of everything. There is one bag that I don't have my own picture of, so I borrowed one from the Louis Vuitton website to show you. But 3 of the bags are Louis Vuitton, and 2 of them are other brands, which includes Saint Laurent and, how do I say it? Givenchy, I think. I think that's right, but don't come for me if it's not right. And it's okay. I probably won't talk about Givenchy too much. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong in the future because I don't have a single bag from them. But when I very first got started in collecting luxury bags, Givenchy was a bag that was very popular, and it was the mini Antigona, and it was kind of a gateway for me to get into leather luxury bags. And so I hunted one down in the color Pearl Gray, which is a beautiful shade. And as I'm talking, I'm going to have a picture of it in here for you. And this is the actual bag that I had. I sold it to Fashion File, and I lost money. I purchased the bag for, I believe, $1,100, which was a good deal. And then I sold it for $800. But what happened is that the mini Antigona bag, while it's cute, it's a structured bag similar in size to a Speedy Bee 25 by Louis Vuitton. This bag has a very thick zipper, and that's a little rough on your hands when you get in and out. No big deal for me. I was totally okay with that. The strap, the way it hooks on, it is prone to coming off, more so than most any of my other bags, more so than the Coach bags that tend to have that happen. And when that happens, your bag might hit the floor. So this was a huge drawback for me, but not enough to sell it. The biggest drawback for me with this bag was that the handles started to lose color within a very short period of time. When I got the bag, it was in like new condition, and I started seeing little black specks on the handles on the underneath side where the paint was flaking off the bag, and the underneath side was dark. And so to me, that means that the leather wasn't dyed all the way through. I'm not a leather expert, but I was concerned that the bag was going to end up having the undersides of the handles look black and most of the rest of the bag be gray. And I was not okay with that. So I sold it with almost undiscernible or indiscernible specks on the handle. Like, I was the only one who probably would notice they were there, although I did point them out to Fashion File because I'm just like that. I've got to tell everybody everything about any bag that I sell 1000%. So I did lose money, but I was relieved to offload that bag because I didn't want to deal with the color coming off of the bag. And so to me, the only option with that bag would be to get the black one if you were going to get one that you wouldn't be worried about the color coming off, because it was basically black underneath. So the Givenchy Antigona, mini Antigona, that one is never going to be bought again by me, ever, never. And so let's go to number 2. Number 2 is Louis Vuitton, and it is one of my early bags. It's called the Favorite MM, and I loved this bag, and I used it a lot. And I sold it, and then I regretted it. So I began repurchasing it. And I found multiple of them by stalking the website. And every single time I got one, there was a defect in the flap. The one that I had that was my personal favorite, that one had started to develop a crease in the center of the flap from where the magnet hooked on to the bottom portion of the bag, and that bothered me, so I sold it. No problem, right? I'm going to get another one. So every single one of them that I got had an issue with the flap, and I got at least 3 or 4 of them, and I ended up selling all of them. It was no issue to sell them. They were extremely hard to get. A lot of people did not care if there was something wrong with the flap. I sold at least a couple of them, of the 4, to a reseller for more than what I paid for them. And so, I mean, it was a wash, or I made a little bit of money, but I could never find the perfect one. And even if I did find the perfect one, I had one that was perfect. My original one was perfect. And over time, it developed that crease across the flap. So that's when I decided that I would go ahead and buy my multi-pochette accessoire. And this was the replacement for that bag. And it doesn't have any creases on the flap because there is no flap. It also holds my things much easier because the way the Favorite is shaped and sort of rounded at the bottom, it just makes it hard to get your stuff all in it and keep the outside of the bag from looking wonky. And I do have inserts in these, so maybe it's not a fair comparison because the inserts keep this bag from looking wonky. I never got one for the Favorite MM. That was before the day that I could not live without inserts in a lot of my bags. But this is just a bit more carefree because I don't have to worry about the line happening because of that magnetic flap. And I think that's really why they discontinued that bag and moved on to a leather version, which essentially looks nothing like the original monogram or damier ebene or damier azur options. So I'm going to put this beauty away. So when I first started collecting handbags, it was because my husband got me this berry MM. And after that, I decided I needed a hobo in every print. And so I bought the Diomo hobo, which I no longer have. And I wouldn't say that I would never ever buy it again. It was a good hobo. It just wasn't for me. I mean, the way it fit on my shoulder, it kind of just slid off a little bit. But it was a decent bag. But then I bought a Delightful hobo, which I also no longer have. I'm not saying I would never buy another Delightful either, but the one I would never buy again was the Graceful MM in Azure. And this is the one I don't have my own picture of. But as I'm talking, I'm sure you're seeing this right now. And I just felt like because there was such a small amount of leather trim and such a vast expanse of the damier azur print that it just, I don't know, it just didn't look great in my eyes. So I bought this bag, had it sent to me, tried it on, and just felt like it was just this huge swath of this checkerboard print on me. And I didn't think it looked good. And so I ended up buying the Delightful instead. It was right when they were discontinuing the Delightful, and was happy with that for a while, but barely used it and ended up selling it. And I think my issue is more that I'm just not a hobo girl, but I did not like how the Graceful had such a small amount of leather trim and such a vast expanse of the checkerboard print. I felt like it needed a little more pizzazz for me. I mean, look at the pizzazz this bag has. It's got these, it has this didn't come with it. This didn't come with it, but it does have a cool handle, and it also comes with a lock. So it's got all these little details that the Graceful just did not have. So the next bag that I will never ever buy again is the Saint Laurent mixed envelope bag. And the reason I will not buy this bag again, and I did have it in the medium size in the gold and black, is because the gold hardware, when it's not the aged gold or the aged bronze hardware from Saint Laurent, is just too bright yellow for me. I'm okay with it in a little package like this. This is their bright gold. But when you get a bag that has a chain on it, it is really, really yellow. I mean, really yellow. And I just never got over that. That's number one reason why I would never buy that bag again. The next reason is that I was buying it to be a substitute for the Chanel medium large classic flap, which I now have. The thing is, though, much like some of the bags I showed you in my contemporary version of this video, the bag caves in on the sides a lot, and that takes up a lot of space. It also, if I remember right, doesn't rest on a table upright because I think the bottom was rounded. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but I didn't like that. The leather was so incredibly stiff that opening up the bag was hard. I mean, it was hard to get into it. And I mean, I'm not saying the classic flap is super easy because you got 2 flaps to open, but the envelope was just so hard and stiff. I really wondered what would happen back here. I mean, you can see I have some indentions from opening this bag, or from the previous person opening this bag. But the way that the leather was so stiff made me wonder what would happen over time. And then I guess the final reason would be I didn't love that it had 2 different prints, or actually I think it had 3 different prints, 3 different patterns on it. I like this more uniform look with the same pattern all over the same bag, which I know I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth because I just purchased this bag that has 2 different types of quilting, but for some reason it's okay on this bag. And I am a strong believer that certain colors with certain bags just work, and other combinations, maybe even in the same bag, just don't. So those are the reasons why. And just one final thought, because the bag caved in on the sides, I could not fit everything I wanted to carry in that bag. And I carry pretty small bags. I mean, you've seen I have the Prada Re-Edition, and this is a darn small bag. One caveat to that complaint is that was before I used organizers. So maybe if I used an organizer in the mixed envelope bag, I could make everything work because I'd have pockets that I could put my cards in, and I wouldn't have to have all the card holders. But even with that said, I really just did not like how the bag opened and closed and how stiff that darn flap was. So that is that the 4th? That is the 4th bag that I would never, ever buy again. The 5th bag I would never, ever buy again is the Pochette Métis. And I have had this bag in the reverse monogram, which I sold. And then I became obsessed with collecting Coach Cassie's, and I bought the Turtle Dove version of the Pochette Métis. And to be honest, I can't remember which came first, if it was the mad collecting of the regular size Coach Cassie's or if it was the Turtle Dove Pochette Métis. I believe it was the Coach Cassie collecting, because that's what led me to want to try a leather Louis Vuitton Pochette Métis. And when I got that bag, much like my Cassie's, I was sort of concerned about wearing it, because the times I did wear my Pochette Métis or my Cassie, with it being on my body crossbody, I was hitting the corners on things. And especially with leather, I worried about that, and it was hard not to. I would have it on my body and lean forward, and it would lean forward and bonk into whatever it was in my path. So that was a major issue. And then on top of that, the darn locking mechanism scared me to death, because it got scratches on it by just breathing on it. You didn't even have to touch it to get scratches. I had a plastic plate protector on my Turtle Dove Pochette Métis, and it still had scratches on it when I removed the sticker to take photographs for selling it. I sold it through consignment with Bella from Love My LVOE, or LVOE. Yeah, I think it's Love My LVOE on Instagram. And I ended up losing about $500, but I counted my blessings, because on-print pieces from Louis Vuitton just do not hold their value as well as the canvas. On the canvas one, I think I broke even or came out maybe $100 ahead. And that was because there had been price increases, and it was still really hard to find the Pochette Métis at that time. I would say that this is the closest bag I have in my collection to the Pochette Métis, but it is just a little more rounded and a little less boxy, and I don't have the same concerns about it. I feel like it's not as deep, doesn't hold as much because it doesn't expand. And so this to me is a lot more feminine. You know, that's one other thing about the Pochette Métis. I just felt like the shape was so boxy, it felt a little masculine to me. And this Saint Laurent collage bag in the medium size is just a little more girly, like me. So that is all she wrote. Those are the 5 luxury handbags that I would never buy again. And a few of them, as you know, I bought more than once and it just didn't work out. I didn't learn my lesson the first time. But hopefully this video helps you not to make the same mistakes as I did. Now, we all like different handbags for different reasons. So the reason why I might not like something might be the reason why you like it. And that's okay. That's why we have like thousands upon thousands of handbags to choose from. But I wanted to let you know my thoughts on these 5 bags so that if any of the things that bothered me would bother you, that you know before you buy it and then try to sell it and lose money potentially. So if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, what are you waiting for? Do it and ring the notification bell so that you are notified of future exciting content such as this. Also, go find me on Instagram. The name there's the same. It's the @ then the Handbag Housewife, all lowercase. You can DM me there or you can email me at thehandbaghousewife@gmail.com. If I don't hear from you, I will see you again real soon. Take care and have a fabulous day. Bye.